So yesterday we did a lot of work, very quiet work, passive work on the breath. And today we're going to do a little bit of a twisting practice where we're going to move into some spiraling of the spine. And if you feel like you need a little spring cleaning inside your lungs, we all know the feeling of like, opening up the windows and airing out the house and beating the rugs and cleaning the closet and scrubbing out your fridge or whatever, hopefully you're not doing all that on one day. But the idea of kind of clearing a part of your body, it can be really therapeutic, especially in this time of year. And so twists have a way of doing this where you kind of can feel like you're wringing out a sponge. And of course, you can feel this in your spine. When we twist, we have that beautiful rotational capacity of our spine. But also think of it in relation to your breath. How the twist helps you move against a little bit of resistance to help you kind of get into that real wringing and squeezing out. So if we kind of breathe like only up here most of the time, we have a very stagnant pool in our lower lungs, and nobody likes stagnant, water. Think about like the flowers that you have, and if you leave them sitting in the same water for 2 weeks, it's going to be kind of funky water, right? So we want to have the mobility of our lung tissue help us to keep all that carbon dioxide and oxygen exchange moving well, so we're not having this settling of lack of movement in the base of our lungs. So twist can help. All right, so let's sit up straight and tall. And, it's so nice to carve out an hour in your day for yoga. So let's ground ourselves and have a deep moment of gratitude for the time that we are cultivating for our yoga practice. So close your eyes if that's comfortable for you, and move your awareness and your attention into your body. See if you can align, feeling that you're supporting the spine with this broadness of your pelvis. Experiment with where you want your shoulders and head to land so that you feel a little more efficiency, a little less effort to sit up with good posture. Once you have your frame of comfort, breathe into your body well. If you were with me yesterday, we did that 3-part breath, kind of that continuous flow through the 3 parts of the breath, the zones of respiration. Let's try a little bit of that now. So the first zone is the belly, where the diaphragm is mobile. The second zone is the rib cage, that thoracic mobility. And the third is just that peaking up at the top of your cylinder where your collarbones can float. And as you exhale, release the collarbones, release the ribs, and release the belly. Try to feel that when you're breathing in, you're dropping down and out. There's this wideness, expansiveness in the full torso. And as you exhale, there's just this slight condensement back into the compression of the container. When we are learning breath, we often fight against the tide of the breath, or we try to push more, fill up the tank, get more out of it. So see if you can find your own sweet balance of breathing, where you're slow and steady, your nervous system is responding by becoming more relaxed in your body. The sound of your breath becomes almost hypnotic, where it's a focal point, a rhythmic focal point for your attention. Feel that wave through your body, belly, ribs, collarbones. Breathing out collarbones, ribs, belly. Try to imagine that your belly is not just the front of you, but it's the sides of your waist, the back of your waist. Your thoracic region is not just the front of your rib cage, it's the side and back as well. Keep breathing well as we begin to shift gears. So palms together at your heart, bow in for an intention. What are you cultivating today? Alongside whatever intention that you have, see if you can keep that awareness of the slow, steady rhythm of breath, breathing through your nose. And then release the hands. And let's find our way onto our back. All right, so as you begin to stretch and lengthen, warming up our body, let's enjoy. Okay, so arms come up overhead. Stretch your left side, stretch your right side. If a yawn naturally happens, follow all of your natural impulses. Such a beautiful way to open the shoulders and the spine. And then bring your knees into your chest and give yourself a little hug. And maybe some rocking if it feels nice. And then let's circle. We're moving the knees, kind of rolling in one direction. And moving in the other direction a couple of times. And then the third direction, opening your knees away from the midline and back in toward the midline. Just have this feeling of coming into the rims of your hip joints, feeling where they're at today. All right, right knee into your chest, left leg on the ground. Roll around in your ankles and wiggle your toes, feeling into that freedom of your feet, heaviness in your head, steady breathing, good squeeze with your leg. And when you are ready, switch sides. Okay, left knee coming into the chest, right leg long on the ground. Feel a good squeeze there. Let your head be soft. It's okay to move your feet around as much as you want. And then let's go ahead and bring both knees in, grab onto your feet, happy baby pose. Let's rock a little bit if you want to. We're just coming into that deep compression of the hip joints, wide sit bones. Press down through your feet and let your feet press up through into your hands. Heavy head. And then starfish your body out. A big giant stretch here, outward. Exhale, knees into your chest, head comes up. Okay, again, opening up the breath, opening up your body, a big full inhale, and as your exhale comes, knees into chest and the head rises. Relax your head down onto the ground, put your feet down onto the ground, and windshield wiper your knees left and right. All right, so just to open the hips up a little bit, let's drop our knees over to the right. You might need a block for this. We're going to pick up our left foot and put it to the outside of our right knee. And you can nestle a block underneath your legs anywhere if you can't, if it's not comfortable to go all the way to the floor. Feel your right arm stretch away a little bit, just opening the front of that right hip, finding the breath, maybe even a little quad stretch. And then come back to center. Undo your legs, a windshield wiper each side. And then we're going to drop the knees over to the right. Pick up your right foot, put it to the outside of your left knee. Drop your knees over to the right. Put a block underneath there somewhere if you need it. You can stretch your left arm. You can turn your head to the left if you want to. Just open up and notice. It's always interesting to me when you feel the sensation of stretch very differently. Like I have way more sensation on my right hip than my left. I don't know if that's common where maybe you also feel differently left to right. But just pay attention, be curious about how your body is symmetrical and is not symmetrical. Unwind, go ahead and release. Legs out one more time, a big open stretch, exhale, knees into your chest, pick up your head, and then come rolling to your side and come up onto your hands and your knees. Right, so as we find our way onto all fours, okay, let's start moving through some cat-cows. As you do, return to the sound and rhythm of your breath. Pay attention to how you are breathing. Are you able to breathe through your nose fully? And move around. You can feel any kind of fluidity of movement that feels good to you. So we're moving our pelvis around, we're moving our rib cage around, we're moving our shoulder, move into your neck. We're going to do some very specific work with our rib cage in a moment, but first just kind of feel your own natural free movements. And then flat back. Inhale, left arm up to the sky. Pause here for a moment so you feel that chest open. And then as you're ready, thread the needle, dropping your shoulder down, let your head be neutral and soft. Okay, so our first twist. See what it feels like to balloon out the ribs in the back body. Can you kind of puff the space on the inhale? Feeling what's opening up between your shoulders. And then we're going to come out of there, back towards child's pose with your legs. Keep your arm underneath you. Chest faces the floor, collarbones wide. Just stretch the outside of your shoulder socket. Keep your shoulders away from the ears, the collarbones stretching. And then inhale, reach that arm back up to the air, to the sky, hands down onto the ground. Second side, lift your arm up, pause here for a moment so you feel the chest open. And when you are ready, slide that arm under for a twist. So enjoy. Hand can press, your left hand can press a little bit. Remember, whenever we're twisting, we're not trying to let our bones leverage the twist. We want our twist to originate from the breath. So even though we're having a little pressure down into the ground, try not to overdo that. Instead, focus on the breath twisting you on your exhales. And you puff up the back body. And then as you come out of the twist, face the ground, hips back towards child's pose. Your arm is still underneath you, but a little less so. The collarbones are widening, and let your shoulder open up, the back side of your shoulder open up here. Reach that arm all the way up to the sky again. Hand comes down onto the ground and grab your two blocks. Put them out in front of you, shoulder width apart. We're going to put our elbows on those blocks, palms together, back towards child's pose, thumbs toward your spine. Let your triceps open. You can curl your toes under for a little extra height underneath your hips if you want. Just open up the triceps. Reach and extend through your body. Keep your neck as neutral and soft as you can. Notice the rib cage and what it's doing. Notice the breath. Notice the spine. And then unwind out of there. Put your hands back down onto the ground. You can just move your blocks off to the side for a moment. And now let's do a few rib cage rolls. So dropping your chest. So think about your whole rib cage like a cylinder. We're going to drop our rib cage down toward the ground, over to the right, up toward the sky, over to the left, and down again. So, there's lots of different ways to mobilize your spine and your rib cage, which of course we need for good breathing. And this is just an example of something you can do to kind of get free in the center of your body so that you can encourage a lot of mobility for breathing. Switch directions when you feel ready. How's the breath? Are you breathing through your nose? All right, now come back toward puppy pose. So instead of the tricep stretching, our hands are going to stay on the ground, but our hips are going to stay high. And we're going to drop our chest and forehead down toward the ground. So when you do a posture like this, we're really trying to open up the shoulders and the thoracic spine a little bit. So feel the hips lift high and the chest drop down. Lift under the armpits so there's a little counter pose. And then walk your knees back forward. Come up onto your shins, rising up with your arms. And then exhale and float down child's pose, arms down at your sides now. And while you're here, let's just enjoy the breath. So see if you can feel into the back of your body. We're doing some back body breathing now. Of course, we're always doing back body breathing, but we often don't bring our attention into the back of our body while we breathe. So enjoy. And as you're ready, let's bring the hands forward and come up to dog pose. Spread out the hands, spread out the feet, get all the points of contact that are touching the ground to get spread open. So you have a lot of surface area, a lot of sensation of the yield, where you can kind of sink into the earth a little bit with any point of contact we have. Notice your hands. Can you pay attention to the four corners of your hands and have even weight? It's okay to pedal your feet. You can drop one heel down, let your Achilles stretch a little bit, open your calves, open the backs of your knees, the hamstrings, the sit bones. Find your way into your beautiful, steady rhythm of breath. If you need to exhale through your mouth, through, some pursed lips, that's fine. But see if you can keep your mouth just closed and always try to inhale through your nose. Let's walk our feet forward, come into Uttanasana, relax your neck, bubble it about, okay, so that you have a sense of ease and softness. Feel free to shake your tail. Okay, inhale for a halfway lift. The spine is getting more free, more spacious. And exhale and melt and fold again. Let's do that one more time. A halfway lift so the spine is really open and free. And as you exhale, melt and fold. Bend your knees, drop your seat, rise up, reaching the arms upward to the sky. Big open breath, lean back a little bit if it feels nice. Let's cactus, open the arms, a good squeeze in the back of your body. And reach the arms up again. And then relax your arms down. Pay attention to your standing posture now. Ground into Tadasana. Pause your movement for a moment so we can feel into that 3-part breath here. Different position, standing versus sitting. It's more important to fill the bottom areas of your breath than the top. We tend to breathe into the top. So let's accentuate zone 1 and 2, that diaphragm and thoracic breath. A steady exhale, collarbones and shoulders release, then ribs and belly. Inhale, arms coming up to the sky. Cross your right arm over your left arm. Drop your shoulders, lift your elbows, pull your elbows away from you a little bit. Just stretch your shoulders. Enjoy the little opening in the tops of your traps. Big breath here. Maybe melt your jaw a little bit. And then change sides. Arms up, change the position. Left arm on top, right arm below. Shoulders down. Lift and open your collarbones. Try not to jut your ribs forward. Stay integrated. Soften your knees. Lift your elbows. Work into the thoracic breath now. Can you feel that your thorax is opening as you breathe in? Okay, and then release your arms. Give your arms a good shake, however you want to shake them. Okay, and we're going to just start with some very gentle movements in twists. So I like to have my feet a little wider than my hips when I do this, but you might be more narrow just or wider. Just see where you are to begin. We're going to go wider. So you might even want to stand sideways on your mat so we can get into the width of a wide horse stance in a little bit. All right, so nice and loose. Just let your spine do its thing, twisting and breathing. Try to accentuate the thoracic and diaphragmatic breath so that you are already feeling like you're getting a little massage in your lungs. And now we're going to start bringing your arms up a little higher. You can bend your knee so that you kind of move a little deeper into the twisting of your spine. Okay, you can even bring one arm way up. And now we're going to start to get our legs wider. Okay, so start to move into a wider stance and feel your way. So drop weight, lift up. We're dropping weight and then lifting back up on the other side. So getting into some lunging. I'm still moving and twisting, still finding really deep breaths. You can go slower than me. You can go faster than me. And then we're going to slow things way down. Lean forward, elbows on tops of knees or inside knees. A nice big wide squat. Ground your feet. Let your shoulders move away from the ears. Breathing well. Come back up to stand. Some nice wide legs again. Arms coming up. Exhale down to a goddess. Now while we're here, and you can go as high or as low in this with your legs, see if you can find that diaphragmatic breath, thoracic breath. Relax your shoulders. Put your arms anywhere you want. Ground through the four corners of your feet. Spin your feet a little bit so toes pull back, heels pull forward. Try not to lean forward. Stay upright. Belly breath, thorax breath. And standing up straight, swing back to the front of your mat for dog pose. Lengthen through your spine. A full breath here. Most of the practice today is going to be in internal rotation of our thighs. So hopefully that was enough of just kind of warming up some external rotation in your hips. Come forward into a plank. Now, where is that thorax breath? So we have to hold our belly strongly in this pose. So we're not going to allow the belly to expand as much. So feel the fullness of your thorax moving. All your ribs widening and then condensing. All right, put your knees down if you need to. Find the ground. Let's roll the shoulders a few times. And then lift up to a cobra pose. Open up the thoracic spine. Exhale on your way down. Okay. This next one, we're going to stay up there for a little bit longer. So find good posture, elbows bent, don't go too high. Stretch your legs and open up your breath. Okay. Release and surrender. Come up onto all fours and move your spine. All right, let's go ahead and find our way to dog pose. Long, spacious spine here. Walk your feet forward. Hold deeply. A halfway lift. Melting back down. Drop your seat, rising up. Again, your feet can be hip width apart or a little wider, whatever's going to give you a really good base. We're going to bring our arms up, grab onto your left wrist with your right hand. And instead of feeling like you're pulling your shoulder, see if you can imagine that where you're holding onto your wrist is connected to the very base of your rib cage. And you're reaching from that rib cage up to the wrist instead of pulling on your wrist. Reach the rib cage up to the wrist, and then drop your rib cage down toward the heel. Go in two directions. Okay. Back to center, over the other way. Try not to yank and pull on your shoulder. Feel your rib cage lift up into your into your wrist, and then your rib cage descend into your heel. Breathe well. Relax. Open up one more time, a cactus arm, and then release your hands down. Give your hands a little bit of a shake. And pause here and just notice what's opening for your breath. Try that 3-part breath one more time. Is it getting easier to access the mobility of your belly, the mobility of your ribs as you breathe? All right, let's take a lunge. Right foot coming forward, left foot coming back. And let's enjoy this. So feel again into the rhythm of your breathing. So we're bending and straightening the front knee. You can bow your head if it feels good. Again, we're finding the focus of listening to the breath, paying attention to your pace, your rhythm. All right, lunging again, grounding, rising up. Arms can come to the sky for a crescent lunge. Breathing deep. We're going to bring our hands behind our back, interlace our fingers, open up across the front of the chest. Try not to just push your rib cage forward, knit a little bit in. Big open breath. Hands come down onto the ground, hop up onto your right foot, turn your glutes on. Breathing well. As your exhale comes, squat in, tuck knee next to or behind, reaching out again. Step back, lunging, dog pose. Full breaths here. Find the rhythm of your breath, the rhythm of your practice. Left foot is coming forward to a lunge on this side. Extending through your heart, shoulders away from the ears. Okay, let's begin to move, bending and straightening the front knee. Feeling your way into that rhythmic movement of the body, rhythmic movement of the breath. Ground into your lunge, root your feet. When you feel stable, come up. Maybe your arms come to the sky, maybe they don't. So find where your body is happiest. Bring your thorax breath. Belly, thorax, just a touch into the collarbones and then relax your exhale. Interlace your fingers behind your back, open across your chest, hug the shoulder blades toward each other. And release the hands forward, down onto your blocks, hop up onto your left foot, squaring your hips, extend through that leg. Take a deep breath here. Exhale, tuck knee behind or next to. Feel that deep squat. Inhale, press your legs straight again. Step back to a lunge. Hands on the ground. Dog pose. Come forward into a plank. Now let's turn on your obliques a little bit to help us with twisting. We're going to turn our belly to the right. Chest faces the ground, back to center, belly to the left. Back to center. Come down onto your knees and let's sit just for a moment. We're getting back up. So don't think we're here too long. Sit on the edge of a blanket. So you have a little bit of height underneath you. Sit cross-legged. If this is not comfortable, find a different way to sit. All right, so breathing well. We're going to do a twist without using leverage of our arms. So you can place your hands on your knee and behind you just as a placeholder, and you don't even need to. You can do this without anchoring your hands. They can just be fingertips, one in front, one behind. So what I want you to do is imagine first, before we twist, we're going to go both directions. The spaciousness, the length of your spine, creating all that room in your discs so that twisting becomes very spacious and free. Find your breath, that 3-part breath again. And the next time you come to an exhale, when you're prepared, your inhale rises you up, and your exhale is going to twist you with the strength of your obliques, turning to the side. So use your back muscles, use your core muscles. Keep your neck relaxed. Notice, turn your head and just notice how far you go without using your arms. Pay attention to what you can see. Back to center. Find the rise of the spine on the inhale. And as you exhale, we're going over to the other side. So condensing through the ribs, feeling that sense of your exhales, using our obliques to twist without using the weight of our arms to support how far you go. And come back to center. Now we're going to add the arms. So arm lifting to the sky, and then take that left arm to the outside of the right knee. Other hand is behind you to help you lift the spine. And a little bit of pressure, not a lot. So we're still leading with the breath. We're still leading with the core. See if you can feel into where you go now. Now, once you go to your fullness of where you're twisting, breathe deeply, balloon out your rib cage in all directions. Back to center, change sides. Okay, bring your right arm up in the air, left hand behind you, and then take your right hand to the outside of the left knee. Now we can yank on our arms and do this twist without any breath if we wanted to, but let's not, okay? So use your hands as support, but the main driver of the twist is the inhale lifting up and the exhale twisting. As the inhale lifts your spine, also let it expand your rib cage. Expand your belly. Find that diaphragmatic and thoracic inhale. And then let the compression happen, the twist happen on the exhale. And relax. Coming back to center. Come up off your seat and come to lie down on your back just for a moment. I promise we're getting back up. Okay, so let's just have a little bit of a turning on of our obliques. Interlace your hands behind your head like we're going to do some sit-up-y things. Now you can do this with bent knees, so it would look like this, where you keep your knees bent. You straighten your right leg and your right shoulder moves toward your left knee, and then the right knee comes back, and you switch sides. Or you can do it the more traditional yogic way, which is legs straight up. Oh, I'm going to hit my furniture, so let me twist. Okay, legs straight up, and you can drop your right leg, and don't touch the floor, but we're twisting with our right shoulder toward our left knee, back up and switch sides. So either way, you can do this with your knees bent, which is a little bit easier on your back. Or you can do this with your legs straight up in the air and dropping one down at a time. So we're working with breath. Try your hardest not to yank on your neck. That's a pillow. We're trying to cultivate the breath moving with the core. Exhale to do the twisting. Inhale to come back to center. Every time you do this, we're giving this deep compression onto the rib cage, onto the core, so that we're moving all that stagnancy. Okay, when you're ready, you can be done. Make sure you do both sides evenly. And then we're gonna come up. If you like doing dog pose, you can go ahead and move into a dog pose first and then stand up. But if you like to skip a few dog poses here and there, this is a good one. Just come to stand. All right, so whatever you're doing, take a moment. If you're in dog pose, walk your feet forward. Climb up to stand. We're all going to meet standing. And again, just pause and breathe for a moment. Feeling into that 3-part breath. Try not to let your shoulders hike up. When the collarbone part of your breath is just noticing the top of the container. There's nothing that has to be lifted. Okay, right foot forward, left foot back. We are shorter in our stance. You might need one, you might also need 2 blocks. So just kind of see what the height is that you're needing for a revolved triangle pose in a moment. Reaching your hands onto your hips, open up through your chest. Find a breath, hip forward. You can put your hands on your hips and just pause here, or you can go deeper and put your hands on blocks. Ground your legs, turn on the backs of your legs. Hamstrings and glutes are active. Feel the extension of your spine. Move into the breathing. And then come back up. This time we'll reach the left arm up in the air. Exhale, reach that left arm forward, and we're going to rest the left hand on 1 block or 2 blocks. You can take your right foot out to the right a little bit more if you need a wider stance. Inner spiral your thighs. Stretch and lengthen through your body. Feel the spine grow. Now remember that twist that we did with no hands. See if you can twist your torso into revolved triangle pose without having any leverage to help you. Inner spiral thighs, wide sit bones. Reach that hip back as you ground the big toe. When you are, or if you want, you can lift the arm up in the air. You can turn your head. Twist the rib cage. Big balloon breath on the inhale. Exhale, squeeze the ribs into a twist. And then relax. Bring your hand back down. Back foot comes forward. Hands on blocks if you want them. A halfway lift. Hands on legs, floor, or blocks. Feel the extension of your spine. Root into the 4 corners of your feet. And then exhale, bend your knees, melt your skull, relax your spine, wag your tail, wag your head. Drop your seat, rise up. As you come to stand, decide. Now we're going to have our left foot forward. Decide if you'd like to have those blocks nearby so that you can come a little lower in Parsvottanasana if you want to. You can start with your hands on your hips. You can always do the full version of the pose too and take your hands behind you, wrapping either reverse namaste or holding onto your forearms or elbows. So your choice in these patterns. Lift and lengthen through your body. And then as you exhale, tip forward, ground into your feet. If you're putting your hands on blocks, you can reach and grab your 2 blocks. See if you can, even if your hands are down, see if you can stay very active through the backs of your legs. Turn on those hamstrings and glutes. Engage your core to support. Feel the breath. Okay, coming back up, reaching the right arm up in the air. Exhale and extend forward. Bring the hand onto resting on 1 block, 2 blocks, whatever feels good. Before you start twisting, feel into your feet. Round your legs, especially your front big toe. Reach the left hip back as you stay grounded in the big toe. The inner spiral of the thighs, so we're not pulling our sit bones toward each other, but widening them into a little bit of an anterior tilt of the pelvis. Create the space and length in your spine. And then use your breath. The exhales twist you. The inhales expand you. So feel that thoracic belly expansion. And the exhales using your obliques and your back muscles to twist. Keep rooted in the inner feet. Shoulders away from the ears. And then relax and melt down. Hands come onto the ground, dog pose. Come forward into a plank. Feel into that thoracic breath again. Rib cage fully moving. All right, and then put your knees down. If that feels better, find the ground. Choose a back bend, any back bend. Maybe one where you're lifting everything off the floor so you feel that little bit of diaphragmatic push-ups. So you can do that with arms out or down or sides, or even hovering like cobra but not touching the ground. Legs up too. This is just an option. Breathe a few times. Belly, thorax. Come up onto all fours. Swish around in your spine. Move your pelvis, move your ribs, anything that feels good. All right, let's come back onto our blanket again, like we did for the seated twist. We're going to do another seated twist. Okay, so coming, now you can do this a couple of different ways. If you'd like to, your right leg can tuck with your right foot next to your left hip. Or if that's not good for your knee, you can straighten that leg out and cross your left leg over your right. So your choice, whether your leg is straight out or your leg is tucked under. Once you get to where your legs are going to be, reorganize your pelvis. So if you're listing off to the side and you have more weight on your right sit bone than your left, adjust until you can feel that balance. Okay. Finding your breath. Let's just enjoy the little bit of a hip stretch here. Come forward onto your sit bones so you're not rolling back onto your tail. Relax the shoulders. Thorax, diaphragm, thorax, breath. We're going to turn this into a twist. So again, we're going to use our arms, but we're going to use them wisely so we're not leveraging too much. Hand behind you to put your left hand behind you on your fingertips to help you lift your spine. Your right arm lifts up in the air, and then either take your elbow to the outside of the knee or wrap your hand or forearm around your knee to go to the depth of the twist that's available to you. Stay on the center of your sit bones. Keep lifting the spine. Once you have your placement, relax the shoulders, open the collarbones. Feel the diaphragm and the thorax. Breathe deeply in. See if you can feel all that moving against the resistance of the twist. This is that wringing out of the sponge. Full exhale. And come back to center. And we're going to change sides. So remember, your left leg can be straight or tucked under. And you may not even do the same. It's usually good to do the same position on both sides, but maybe you've got a knee on one side that doesn't allow you to bend and you'd rather be straight. So whatever feels good. Organize yourself so that you're not listing off to the left. We're grounded evenly in our sit bones. We're not rolling to the tail. We're on the sit bones. The spine is growing. You can hold on to your knee to feel that kind of hoisting it in and up and rock forward so you get a good hip stretch. Feel the breath here. And when you're ready to twist, right hand behind you, just as a support system. Left arm reaching high, either elbow to the outer knee or wrap your arm or hand around your knee. Shoulders away from the ears and the collarbones broaden. Recheck to make sure you're on the center of your sit bones and your spine is elongated. Find your way into your diaphragm and thoracic inhale. Condense, compress on your exhale. Feel the wringing out of the sponge. Imagine getting into all those deep nooks and crannies of your lung fields and moving some air exchange there. Come back to center. Let's step out of there for a moment and grab your blanket. Okay, you can do this with 2 blankets if you feel really open, or you can just do it with 1. We're gonna make a rolled bolster with our blanket. So just rolling 1, or you can do 2 blankets inside each other or just 1. I'm just using 1. Okay, so we're going to do this in 2 different positions. So you can, if you need a block or another blanket under your head, take that. We're going to have 2 different positions of this underneath our shoulder blades. So the first one is higher, kind of at the spine of your scapula. Okay. And then the second one will be lower, kind of like at the bottom tip of your scapula. So you find your spot, where you want to be. And there's no rights or wrongs, just be somewhere comfy. And then you can decide anything you want with your arms. You can have your arms overhead. You can cactus your arms. You can have your arms straight out like a T. You can grab onto your elbows and stretch them over so you can have your arms down at your sides. Same with your legs. Your knees can be bent with your feet on the ground. Your legs can be straight. You can even put your legs in Supta Baddha Konasana if you prefer. All right, so once you get here, breathe here. Take advantage of all this open rib cage. Flare out your ribs on the breath in. Feel all the space. Feel the slight tautness of the tendons, ligaments of your diaphragm, where you can feel its attachments onto your heart. The upper dome of your diaphragm wraps around the pericardial sac. There's this fascial band that connects the two. Every time we take a beautiful movement pattern with our diaphragm by breathing deeply and well, we massage our heart. All right, and relax a moment. And let the arms down and then readjust where the bolster is going to be. You can readjust whatever's under your head. Get a little lower so that you're still under your shoulder blades. We're not in the low back at all. And this spot will be a little bit more clearly where your diaphragm attaches in those lower rib areas. So find a place of comfort with your arms and your legs. You can adjust if you're like, nope, need to go another ½ inch down or ½ inch up. Just find your sweet spot. And then move into that diaphragmatic thoracic breath. So a full diaphragm movement, full thorax. Exhaling all the way. We're breathing through our nose. To lower our arms if they were somewhere. We're going to bend our knees if they were somewhere. And let's roll over onto your side. Get rid of that blanket. Maybe put it under your head for a moment. Just curl onto your side and let your rib cage rebound and relax. Okay, we're going to come on to our back. Bring your knees to your chest, rocking a little bit. The last kind of opening we'll do for the breath is a supported bridge. So feet coming down, lifts the pelvis, put a block. And, I would recommend the low height for right now. We've done a lot with the spine today. So really, this isn't necessarily about getting a really big stretch or anything, but to just set the pelvis and the lower spine after doing some twists. So open up the shoulders. Melt your pelvis. So if you're on the low height and you're like, no, I really would like to go a little higher, then flip the block up another notch. If you want to go super high, stack 2 blocks. So whatever feels best to you. Thorax, rib cage, collarbones. Exhale, collarbones, rib cage, belly. Off the block, knees into your chest. Maybe pick up your head, maybe a happy baby, maybe a hip stretch, maybe a rocking, whatever you need. And then we're going to find Shavasana when you've kind of settled your body. Now, as always, we want our Shavasanas to be filled with comfort. So are you warm enough? Do you have enough support with your props? Do you need anything? Do you need to push things away from you so you're not touching anything? Once you're in a place where Shavasana is, beginning, let's have a moment of coming into that deep surrender of your limbs, letting your arms and legs get very heavy. The breath is deep and full.
belly, thorax breath. Roll. Ready for a movement that feels good. Help you transition.
Eventually, as you come up to sit, just notice the aliveness of your torso, fullness of your breath. There's nothing else you take away about breathing. It's to keep your mouth closed, to try to breathe through your nose as much as you can. Let's offer our intentions, our prayers, our energy outward. Send your love and care to another. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.